Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pop Culture Reacts as we are working our way through Radiohead's OK Computer, and we are at the halfway point, track 6, Karma Police.
It's got a video in it.
It's got a video, but does it go whoop whoop, that's the sound of the police?
No, it doesn't. One of the singles, hence a video. I would say one of them more well-known songs as well. I think probably in their top 5 most well-known songs, probably top 3. Very big at the time it came out. I think it was, for a lot of people, a standout moment of the album. Of course, because it was a single, but very much up there in the pantheon of, I think, non-Radiohead fans or non-Radiohead like listeners, to the extent that like big fans are. This is one of those ones that a lot of people go, yeah, I know that song.
See, it's the thing is, I know the song title, I can't picture the song, but I can guarantee as soon as it starts, I'll be like, that one.
Yeah, I think you will. Yeah, I'd be surprised if not only have you not heard the sort of title, but I'd be really shocked if you haven't heard it in some way, shape, or form. You know, we often say like the kind of music channels that you were watching at the time, but latterly the kind of pubs that you go into and the sort of music they play, it would have been played somewhere where you've been.
Yes. So, shall we get our karma on?
Let's do this. This is what you'll get when you mess with us. Karma police, I've given all I can, it's not enough. I've given all I can, but we're still on the payroll. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mess with us. For a minute, I lost myself. I lost myself. For the first time in a long time, a lot of advert carnage at the end there. It's clicking the wrong buttons. Life lessons learnt. Karma police. Arrest this man.
Him and his cars.
Yes. Yeah, cars. Can't escape him, can you? Although no lyric cars this time. Just visual video cars.
Just a whole video of a car.
So is it one you recognise once it got going?
Yeah, it was. As soon as it started, it's like, that one.
That one.
It's all right. Again, it when I think of like their best singles, this doesn't go anywhere near Just or Creep. But then again, there's a sort of similarity between Just and Creep for me. Of
they jang-a-lang a bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
But for bands around this time doing this sort of an indie song, it is up there with like the top end of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's never going to be the one that makes me go, yeah, in the same way that, give me a jangy guitar.
I guess that's part of the problem, isn't it? Like, yeah. And like, here we go. Let's break down the world. But like, if every song needs a jangy guitar, it does kind of cut out 90% of music, doesn't it?
But it doesn't all need it. We all know this. You've seen some of the stuff like this too. It doesn't have to have a jangy guitar. But
there is somewhat of a theme, though, isn't there? Of kind of going, if there are guitars in it and they're not jangy enough, the word bland and meh will tend to come out. I would say it's a different sort of song, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not intended to hit a high like that. It's paced a certain way for a certain reason, and like that kind of downside of the music and the guitar playing is with a purpose.
Yeah.
It is very much to keep you. I mean,
I think somber song.
But like, because the story that it is telling actually has, I would say, like at least two, but sort of three fluctuations, by keeping the music very similar throughout, it allows you to, I don't know, experience those emotional, and I would say emotional, like, not quite, but like the emotions and the thought processes that it's speaking to in probably the same ways you would the human experience of it. Like the initial part where you start off and the song is, and I'll go back in my time machine, the song is me when I'm hearing this album, it is me going, I don't like the way that person speaks. I don't like the way that person dresses. And I'm going to use the word offends. I mean, offends is probably the wrong term, but because it's not my worldview, and probably annoys more than offends, because let's be honest, annoyance is a thing, especially when you are, or when I was sort of like 17, 18-year-old me, of being very judgmental and going, yeah, do you know what? You'll get yours. Whether it be me or whether it be this kind of karma police theory, like, so karma will get you. And then, like, you come, you go through that, and then you get to like what I think is the second part, which is like a bit of a realization is that other people are probably looking at me in that way. And then you then get to the end where it's going, oh yeah, do you know what? And paraphrasing and not doing this in any way as well as Radiohead or Tom York does, but ultimately I kind of get to the end and going, yeah, do you know what? I was a bit of a prick there for a little while. I did lose myself, and I got so fixated on me and my part in the world that I kind of forgot that everyone else is also allowed to be in this world and be to kind of moving about and doing their thing, soz.
So this to me is
but like, I think, but with the music staying the same, I think, I don't know, that's one of the things I always liked about it, of going three totally different mindsets, but strung together by that music being the same, is because you are always you. You may well go through fluctuations in how you're seeing the world, but it's still your like it's still through your eyes, and that music is effectively the eyes for me. And
Mm.
if what I've just said makes no sense to anyone, apologies. It really does make sense to me.
See, this thing, like lyrically, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying. I think it's because in that way of like this sort of a story that he's saying in there, I'm so used to it having a bit like there being that agginess to like in there, and that I've when I listen to it and sort of go, oh, if that's what he's saying, where's the passion, where's the thing? But you sort of saying it there, and actually sort of saying with the music staying as it is very much that realization of just because you're going from fuck you to no fuck me, oh fuck.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not, it doesn't need that because it's not a
Well,
fuck you, it's a
well,
fuck you.
and you say it doesn't need. I think something you said there like is key. Is you couldn't you? Like that angry bit at the beginning. And I say angry, you know, it isn't necessarily delivered angry, but I think like we kind of know in ourselves if you are in that kind of judgmental state, like you know, the examples they use. Uh, for slotting anything, anyone who affronts you in let's say probably a minor way but feels major at the time, you probably are more angry. So you could take that aggression bit up, and then you could bring it down in the second part, and I think potentially you could bring it up again in the third part. But I like the third part because as much as I say the music stays the same, I do think we kind of get a bit of a slow down lilt into it as you get realization. But one of the things, and I don't know, one of the reasons why I wonder, because it's that almost 3 act story again, why maybe they, and as I love the fact that it stays quite static, I wonder whether they didn't do that because they did that for Paranoid Android.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether again it's that trying to, as much as you are maybe touching on not necessarily the same story but similar storytelling techniques in the structure of the song, that if you did it like Paranoid Android,
Yeah. Had
you're
that
just
heavier
making Paranoid.
section.
Potentially you're just making Paranoid Android again. So as a part of an album, looking for different ways, even when there has to be similarities, making sure that you present them in a different fashion. Maybe,
Yeah.
but again, I don't know. I've never read any interview that kind of says there was a cognitive choice between them. But yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I think you could go Aggie at the Aggie bits, but yeah, it just feels like maybe it was no. We did a song where we fluctuated the music greatly in each part, in each act of the 3 acts. Let's not do that again. Let's look at it in a different way. Maybe
Yeah.
he says, second guessing a musical artiste with me having zero musical talent. But it feels like the sort of, you know, like when we said about like the creation of this album and the things that they're sort of putting in, the learning new instruments, and not just learning new instruments, but trying to integrate sounds in places where potentially you don't. I mean, this is a very kind of melodic bit all the way through it. I feel like the choices to do it that way was a choice
Mm.
for a reason.
So this thing is that just me sort of going, it's all a bit bland, and then sort of, but then just to sort of discussing it, it's just that sort of thing of going, yeah, it makes sense on why they've done what they've done. Yeah, and this is why when we do these things, and
That's why we talk afterwards, isn't it?
yeah,
You know,
but,
like that's the truth of
but
it, isn't
that's
it?
also
Like,
the thing of like
yeah.
where I know that I automatically get a kicking from you because of my
No, I've
my
behaved
standing
myself.
of Radiohead.
I've
From,
behaved myself much better than I did on the bends. You have not had an almost storm out yet by me. I've been very sympathetic.
but it's that thing of like, yeah, when you sort of because you said you've lived with this for as long as you have, obviously in the
Yeah.
context of the whole album and everything, and you saying, but they did that on Paranoid Android. They did the change in tempos and the change in sort of
Yeah.
volume, and they then go, yeah, that it didn't need this. This
Well, and
doesn't need it.
it's potential. We listen to a lot of different artists and a lot of different albums, and I think there must be a bit of a fear factor for most bands when doing an album, and I say most bands, most bands that aren't just kind of going, yeah, knock this one out. This is a cash grab album of not wanting to make something that sounds the same every track, or that can be criticised at that, I guess. And that's
Unless you're
probably quite
AC/DC.
hard. But when you're sat in that studio for however long you're sat in that studio, there must be a temptation, doesn't there? I mean, like, who amongst us, either here recording or anyone watching, hasn't gone, yeah, I'm phoning work in today. Like, they're getting now out of me, but the bare minimum. But of course, we loft people with talent and artists, not only in this, but in every kind of artistic genre there is. We hold them to loftier heights as if they're not human beings, and they don't probably have days where they're just going, come on, lads, we're 2 songs out from finishing this album. Let's just get this done so we can go on holiday or whatever. But yeah, I will say that one of the reasons why I always thought that this was a standout track for so many. And I said before we started it, I think it's one of the tracks that even, like, I say non-Radiohead fans, but people will know a lot of, is the melodic nature of the music, though.
Yeah.
That kind of thing that you lean to going, you could have done something different. Because I do think it's beautiful as well, and I think it's catchy. And catchy in a way that a lot of their other stuff isn't necessarily, because it doesn't keep that throughout. So I jump back to Paranoid Android. I think Paranoid Android has some really catchy stuff in it, but it's not a musical term. It's jaggedy. It moves all over the place, and I think a lot of the audience that aren't particularly coming along for an album, so they're just coming along for a single. I think that's why this one probably, the record company probably were quite keen for this one to be a single. I think because they thought, do you know what? This will get radio play. And I love it because it did get radio play. I think at face value, I think you start off and go, here's this melodic tune. And I think a lot of people would initially, and probably I did initially, is key into that concept at the beginning of the karma police. Like, I am the center of the universe and those around me will get theirs eventually. But I think you pick up the rest of the story on repeated listening. And I've said it at the beginning of the album before we started it about, like, my journey in life and my journey with this album is, again, it would be very simple for me and who I was at the time, because I was the center of the universe. Still am. I was the center of the universe, but this song starts to make me kind of go, and I'm going to go back to the "Don't Be a Dick." That side of me that is a real key to me and has been for a very long time is how you treat other people in the world. And you're not always perfect. You'll get it wrong. Sometimes you treat other people terribly, but trying to keep that core and learn about yourself of going, even though you might always think you're right, you're not always right, because not everything has a yes or no answer. That other people have other opinions. Even when they're wrong, there's a degree of maybe a way to sort of purport yourself and deal with other people. And again, I refer you back to your appalling behaviour during the Benz album. Like, not, I'm joking, but you do, don't you? You try to become a bit more of a wider, broader human being with that that ability to not just feel empathy and sympathy in bad times, but go, okay, what is your perspective? It might not be mine, and not necessarily jump straight to the, you think different to me, you'll get yours at some point. Although, as we know, in the UK that we live in at the moment, sometimes that's particularly hard to do with some of the opinions you hear. But even then, like, trying to get a broader idea, I guess, of what's right or wrong, and that leaning into, you can probably shape your world a bit better by how you deal with people, not how people deal with you.
Yeah.
Because, you can't control other people, but you can probably control the way you behave.
Yes. So, you lot out there, what did you think of Karma Police? Let us know down.
What outfit would a karma policeman wear?
Clearly got to have.
It's not a joke, by the way. That's more for the comments. Yeah, like
a helmet with a flashy light.
Do you reckon? Like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah, Inspector Gadget style.
Flashing light that come out of his hat.
As always, YouTube things, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And until next time, good day.